It's great to be in Northumbria. As you can tell, I come from over the border. Although I've worked in Oxford for 50 years, I still like coming north. And I've learned what great things have been done in Northumbria by RISE, that's the branch of Sport England up here, working of course with Age UK and the County Council and your local councils and the NHS. And I'm here to tell you what we're doing across England and internationally. And we need to change the way people think about living longer better. We need you to join the revolution for living longer better. There are two big issues affecting every society on Earth. One is climate change and the other is population ageing. And as you can see from this picture, population ageing is usually presented as a tidal wave, with the number of people over 80 doubling and just increasing need everywhere because of ageing. But most of the problems are not due to ageing. Now, as this diagram shows you, you cannot deny there are two phases in life, a phase of growth and development, a turning point, and from then on it's downhill all the way. But neither the turning point nor the rate at which we go downhill is determined by ageing. Now there is a thing called a normal biological ageing process. But as these two people show, ageing by itself is not a cause of major problems until the late 90s. Now, you can't deny the effects of ageing. And this diagram shows the impact of lockdown. That ageing results in a loss of maximum mobility, and even more important, a loss of resilience. It means you recover less quickly or less completely from a trip or a stumble or a change in temperature or lockdown. But ageing by itself is not a cause of major problems until the late 90s. The first of the factors that affect us is loss of fitness. And as you can see from this diagram, the fitness gap opens up every year from the turning point. There's a growing gap between the best possible level of ability and the actual level of ability. And here's the cause. It's not lifestyle, it's the environment. Look at this poor man here. And you can see the three factors that are important: the car, the computer, and the desk job. It's an environmental problem that's affecting every society on Earth. He's having his lunch at his desk. He's having a little bit of greenery, of course, but this is the life too many people have to lead. And I've sat down for the last 50 years. Now, loss of fitness is loss of maximum level of ability and loss of resilience. It takes longer to recover. Now, that's very like aging, as you can see, and that's why the medical profession has, until recently, confused these two processes. The good news is, as this diagram shows, that at any age, you can close the fitness gap. And we've now got very strong scientific evidence, as shown by this study, which is a study of people in their 90s, men in their 90s. Within 3 months, their muscles were much stronger as a result of strength training. So, loss of fitness is very important. And we talk about fitness as being strength, stamina, suppleness, skill. But the other factor that then comes along is disease. And disease affects your maximum level of ability. So I had a heart attack 10 years ago and I lost a lot of heart muscle. So that affected my maximum level of ability. But for many people, the rate of decline goes down faster after the onset of disease. And you may drop below what I call the line. And the line is that point in time below which you can't get to the toilet in time. And after that, game over. Social care. Now, the reason is quite correctable, and I'll come to that. But it's important to remember, as I've shown this diagram, that no matter how old you are, no matter how many long-term conditions you've got, you can close that gap and stay above the line. The key issue is to understand that it is possible to do this. And the evidence is now very strong. Here's a report called Exercise, the Miracle Cure, produced by the most important medical bodies in the UK. Quite astonishing. And here's what we're doing. We're prescribing exercise. Here's my little book called Dr. Gray's Walking Cure. Here is the app from the NHS to measure brisk walking. And these will be prescribed by your doctor. And we can also, as this next picture shows, we can also use virtual reality for people who are housebound or people who have to live in care homes. And here you can see, using this treadmill called the Rover, people can do a virtual walk with friends along the Great Wall of China or along Hadrian's Wall. So, aging, loss of fitness, disease complicated by accelerated loss of fitness, and the fourth factor is negative thinking, as shown by this half-full glass. Ageism, the belief that we cannot do anything and we cannot get fitter or stronger after the age of about 40. So this next diagram with the arrows shows you what we have to do. We have to understand aging, regain fitness, prevent and tackle disease, and think positively. So what can I say to you, if you're older people or if you're professionals? Well, there's the traditional advice. Of course, try to stop smoking, stick to the Mediterranean diet. But the new message we've got for you is, firstly, get even fitter. Every year, do a little bit more. Every diagnosis, do a little bit more. And here's the list of things we're saying to you. Secondly, do even more for other people. And I know that many of you are already involved in organising things for other people. Doing things for other people is probably the best thing you can do for yourself. And we now know you can not only prevent the thing we call frailty, we can reduce the risk of dementia. And this next picture, I'm afraid, shows the book I've just published called Increase Your Brain Ability and Reduce Your Risk of Dementia. And there are 3 things you can do. Look after your brain tissue. Keep it good sleep. Control stress. Physical activity. Secondly, keep your arteries going. And thirdly, just emerging from research now, be positive. Be intellectually active, but particularly in intellectual activity that's a challenge. Voluntary activity, for example. Working with young people. Changing things. This reduces the risk of dementia. So, ladies and gentlemen, we need a revolution. And it's called the Living Longer Better Revolution. And as you can see from this picture, it turns the tidal wave upside down. Now, what are we going to do and how do we want to involve you? Well, the Living Longer Better Revolution has 3 aims. Firstly, we want to increase activity, physical, cognitive, and emotional. And as this slide shows, there's a number of benefits. We can prevent frailty and dementia. We can help you regain what you lost in lockdown, and we can even help you get as able as you were 10 years ago, drop a decade. The second aim, shown here, is to compress that period of morbidity at the end of life, when we're heavily dependent on others. It's not so much living longer people want, it's living longer better. And thirdly, we can actually reduce the need for health and social care. As you can see from this diagram, we can close the gap. And this diagram here, with the lines on it, shows the difference in the last 3 years of life of someone who's fit and well and someone who's not. Remember, aging affects resilience. Loss of fitness affects resilience. So if you lose fitness, when a chest infection comes along, you're more likely to be badly affected and go into hospital. And when you go into hospital, the effect of that we now call the deconditioning syndrome. So you go back in again quickly, and you're in for longer. So these are our 3 aims. And we have a system for living longer better that you're now part of. And this shows that what we're doing is a system. And the system has a set of objectives set out here. Just have a look at these for a minute. And these are wide-ranging objectives. For example, to promote activity, to prevent dementia, to mitigate the effects of deprivation. And then this one, the last one at the list, to enable dying well as living well. We need much more debate about the last years, months, and weeks of life than we're having so far. As you can see from this diagram, we'll deliver this through a network. You will be part of a network. We need bureaucracies for things like the employment of staff. But population aging is too complex for bureaucracies. We need networks. And then what we want you to do is to change the culture, to have a cultural revolution. And there's a number of ways we're going to do that. Firstly, we're going to send everybody over the age of 50 this learning program that I've been going through with you, through GP information systems, taking into account the fact that they might have Parkinson's disease or some other health problems. Secondly, we need to develop a new language. We need to ban the word retirement. I call it renaissance. I don't like the word care either, implying it's doing things for people. We want to enable people. We want to introduce the word purpose much more. We also need to educate a lot of the professionals who are just as confused as we are about what happens as we live longer. And to think of a new way of organising what we do. So that's the cultural revolution. And as you can see from this final picture, it's up to us. It's not young people doing this for us. People over 50, 60, 70, 80 and 90. We've got to get more active. We've got to have a cultural revolution. We need to increase activity, physical, cognitive and emotional, as part of the mission to live longer, better.